2 envelopes, Senate Homeland Security letterhead, hand-carried into 950 Pennsylvania Avenue. Rand Paul didn't mail them. He walked them in. Anthony Fauci is formally referred to the Justice Department for criminal prosecution. And listen to what Paul says about the year that the auto pen pardon starts. You see, 1 million Americans died. That's Rand Paul's number, said out loud in front of the Senate. And worldwide, the estimates run from 7.1 million to all the way up to 36 million people dead. We told you back on July 29th when Fauci took the fifth 111 times with a blanket pardon in his pocket. Now, the committee voted contempt. So tonight I'm going to roll Josh Hawley's line about the nickname he gave Fauci, and I'm going to play President Trump on camera answering whether the DOJ should prosecute him. And his answer is not what the press expected. You see, we're talking about 1 million dead Americans, and the man responsible is walking around with a pardon dated 2014. You see, that's the government that you're trusting with your retirement. And here's what I actually control, what I own. We have midterm elections coming up, control of Congress on the line, and markets hate uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds volatility. Between now and November could be the most volatile stretch for stock markets and the economy that we've seen in years. And physical gold and silver hedge the volatility. Noble Gold Investments has spent over a decade helping everyday Americans protect their wealth with precious metals. It's simple, easy, safe. Go to nextnewsgold.com or call Noble Gold at 877-646-5347. And for America's 250th, mention my name. You get a free 10-ounce, that's right, 10-ounce silver bar when you open a new qualified account. Have you seen the price of silver lately? Now let's get back to those envelopes. Okay, look at the address on the second envelope. Janine Pirro, 601 D Street. He didn't send one letter, he sent 2. To 2 prosecutors, in person. No email, no fax, no friendly leak. And now watch Hawley put a number on the sentence. Rand Paul has delivered letters to the DOJ referring Fauci for prosecution. It is just music to my ears. These are the actual letters. The Honorable Janine Pirro and the Honorable Todd Blanche. So if you ever wanted to mail them a letter, there you go. That's the address if you ever want to send Todd or Janine a letter from the. I love it. I love looking at the stationery from the government. Unless that stationery comes from the IRS, you can. No, that's not those aren't the letters I like to see. Okay. And then of course, just no stamp, just Rand Paul's signature. I love it. So the letters didn't come out of nowhere. The Homeland Security Committee voted to hold Fauci in contempt of Congress, and that carries jail time. Post-millennial confirming Senate committee votes to hold Fauci in contempt and could face jail time if convicted. Now, Hawley wants him a year behind bars, and he's got a nickname for the man who kept taking the fifth. Let's check in with Senator Josh Hawley.
He has got a sweetheart deal. He needs to be prosecuted. You have immunity. He already had that auto pen pardon. He has immunity. You can't come in and take the fifth. He took it so many times, I started calling him Dr. Fifth. It is an absolute joke. This guy needs to be charged. We sent over a referral today to the Department of Justice. He can spend a year in prison for contempt of Congress. I hope they go after him hard.
Oh, I know what we're all thinking, is there any way they can get longer than 1 year in prison for contempt of Congress? And unfortunately, the maximum sentence is 12 months, 1 year in prison for criminal contempt of Congress. And what is the likelihood of him actually being prosecuted and sentenced? It looks like it is very low, likely only about 5%, because our government are all in on it together and they won't do anything about anything.
Unless you are part of the Trump circle, then like Bannon and others, they'll throw you in jail for contempt of Congress. But Fauci, I mean, look, I try not to be cynical here. I like the momentum we're seeing, but I mean, let's be honest. We lose faith. This man killed, allegedly, potentially, with his research, 36 million people, right? How many people did Adolf Hitler kill? Drop a comment. Maybe you guys can search that up. Oh, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of interesting comments on that one. But aside from that point, it's one thing when Steve Bannon or Peter Navarro, don't cooperate or are held in contempt of Congress, right? It's one thing. But then, if you are at the center of the greatest and most deadly pandemic that the modern world has seen, and you shred documents and you hide the truth and you plead the fifth so many times, and you get to walk, let's just hope, and I do have faith in Todd Blanche because he has been very aggressive after Pam Bondi's departure, probably the most aggressive AG we've seen in a long time. So I do have a lot of hope there. I think that Jeanine Pirro, she's a firecracker. I've met her. She's a great woman. I think she has the backbone to do something. So we got 2 letters heading out. And that's what we want to see. 2 fronts. So let's get to that, the date on the pardon, because it starts in 2014, the same year, the same year that the Wuhan lab funding started. And there it is, folks. There it is. Senator Rand Paul says the reason Fauci was given a pardon beginning in 2014 was because that's when Fauci started funding the Wuhan lab. Now, during COVID, when we were the leading voice that were amplifying others who believe Fauci should belong in prison, and that the whole pandemic was just a scam, the scamdemic, as many have called it, or plandemic. In my research during that time, I remember, because BuzzFeed did a hit piece on me, we were questioning the gain of function funding because Barack Obama had put a moratorium on it. And that, of course, lines exactly up with this date. That's when the moratorium started under Obama. And then, what does Fauci do? He outsources it to the Chinese communists. And then what happens next? Oops! No, it wasn't a bad egg roll in the wet market, okay? It was gain of function research funded by Dr. Fauci that went and got leaked out of a lab. Whether it was leaked or intentionally leaked, that still remains a question. But the fact is it spread worldwide. Because Fauci wanted to get around Barack Obama's moratorium on gain of function research. Okay, so Senator Rand Paul confirms at least 1 million Americans died from COVID. That's because Anthony Fauci funded that research. He says even if he's liable for it, he can never be held accountable because of his pardon. 1 million Americans died. Estimated worldwide, 36 million. Let's go to Dr.
1 million Americans died, and I think they deserve to know the truth. Anthony Fauci has advocated for dangerous gain-of-function research for 2 decades now. The question why is not a question that he can have liability for. He was given a pardon. Interestingly, the pardon starts in 2014. That's when the funding of the lab in Wuhan started. So I think he should answer questions. As far as pleading the fifth when you have a pardon, all you have to do is tell the truth, just not commit a new crime. But if we were to grant him immunity from telling the truth, of what value, would his testimony be?
Just so everyone is aware, the estimated deaths from COVID-19 worldwide is 7.1 million, and some estimates have it all the way up to 36 million. I don't think a pardon should be able to pardon 36 million people dying from a virus that you funded. Anthony Fauci needs to be tried for crimes against humanity.
I second the motion. Wall Street apes. Another great follow on X. So President Trump was asked directly if the DOJ should prosecute Fauci, and he brought up Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, just like I did.
Do you think the DOJ should prosecute Dr. Fauci?
Well, you know, they prosecuted Peter Navarro and they prosecuted Steve Bannon, two very decent people, over something that essentially was never prosecuted before. And there are sort of telltale signs of similarity. And they went to jail for a number of months over something that I saw one of the analysts said they used to laugh at it in the Justice Department when something like that was referred. But Merrick Garland prosecuted two very decent people and sent them to jail. I wasn't president. I would have given them a pardon in 2 seconds. But I wasn't. It was after I left. They waited till after I left, and then they prosecuted these two people, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. So when you see that happen, you sort of say maybe he should. What he did is far more serious than a lot of crimes, frankly. But they prosecuted two people when nothing like that has ever taken place before.
Mr. President.
Unbelievable. Quote, interestingly, the pardon starts in 2014. That's when the funding of the lab in Wuhan started. That's Rand Paul. And I want you to sit in that for just a second. You don't hand a man immunity backdated to the exact year he started funding gain-of-function work in Wuhan unless you know precisely what he did in that year. The pardon isn't exoneration. It's a confession with a signature on it. You see, Todd, Blanche, and Janine Pirro, they've got the referral in their hands. They've got it right now. So charge him. Merrick Garland's DOJ dusted off this same statute to send Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro to a federal cell over a subpoena fight. President Trump said it flat out on camera. They used to laugh at those referrals until it was time to punish his people. If contempt of Congress is a prison crime for Bannon, it's a prison crime for Fauci. And Hawley says the odds are maybe 5% because the government protects its own. Then we make it 100. Comment the names Blanche and Pirro below. Give them a shout out and share this with somebody who still thinks that the pardon settled it. Don't let anybody bury this one quietly like they buried everything else. Because quiet burial is exactly how these referrals die. And that's why we built a way around it. Text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed inside the White House. And what our people pull from those halls lands on your phone every night ahead of the crowd and past whatever YouTube decides you shouldn't see. Now, if reading isn't enough for you tonight, and after that pardon date it shouldn't be, text the word signal to that same number and take your post in the Next News Signal Corps. Ranks, missions, and a command center built to move truth with no gatekeepers standing in the door. I need you in this fight.